Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast coming at you live on a Sunnyside Summer Thursday. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at the checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and older, or Illinois medical card holders. Happy Thursday, a scheduled off day for your Chicago Cubs, who just swept the Pittsburgh Pirates in dramatic fashion in the final game. We want to give a shout out to our new diehards, Kent and Brian, the latest ones. Make sure you sign up for that diehard program right now if you haven't already, because you want to get your 20% off all the Bears tailgates we're going to be throwing. You want to get it for the Rizzo takeover or the actual courting of Juan Soto as that begins on September 6th here. You want to get all Ryan's off-season articles as the Cubs make big moves. You want to follow along with all the other teams we have. And make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. It's the best way to enjoy our experience. That is, we have some other alternatives, though. Roku channel now carries us. Search CHGO Sports. Hi to everybody in that YouTube page. DFW Susie, always here. Always here. Christian A is here. Chicago Dude 888. Anyways, we got some new information we're going to talk about. The Cubs, for instance, are up to 3.7%. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. We're also going to spend part of this podcast talking about the top 5 players in Major League Baseball right now. Who are they? Who do they play for? And how these names started to move up and down the list. We each came up with a list. They're not identical. And then we also want to know, after you pick your top 5, what are the other names that you just could not leave out of the top 10 if you were expanding it to 10? So we'll talk about that in a bit. And we're also going to talk about the Nationals, who are up next for the Cubs. 28 games to go. 3.7% chance. So we're saying there's a chance. No, two of us have declared the season over.
Yes.
Hopers and believers say it's never over till it's over.
I don't know if Ryan is a hoper or a believer. I think he's just stating an actual fact that it's not
That's
over.
correct.
That's what he's
just a fact reporter.
He's giving us FACTS facts. And
right.
Those
and we're giving you
fun.
FAX.
Yes.
Best way to send any kind of information safely.
Exactly.
Facts.
I mean, I'm going to go back and look and see where, what was it? September 6th was that last day of the Cubs, like their peak of their playoff odds last year.
Yeah.
Go and see where the Diamondbacks were at that same day.
Okay, you look that up.
I'm gonna do that.
All I know is the Cubs are 2 games over the 500 mark, something we have asked for.
1 win away from 69. Nice.
Okay. And
Yep. That's true.
see, our guy Ron S. is here, says, "What's up, fellas?" Always comes out to our
What's
outings
up,
and
Ron?
hangouts and stuff. I don't know where they're at. I do believe they're ahead of the Nationals in their rebuild. I would hope.
My take on comparing these two organizations is, in terms of their rebuild, is I agree the Cubs are ahead of the Nationals, but I think the ceiling is higher for the Nationals moving forward.
That's possible.
Because I think they have star potential, multiple star potential with what they have. Dylan Cruz, James Wood, and
Abrams.
Abrams is nice too, right? I think he needs to improve on the defense, and if he can, like that would be huge for them. But I think like the first two guys I mentioned, I think they have a higher ceiling than any player on the Cubs. Maybe PCA can hang with them. It's only been a month though, so I don't know. And obviously Cruz just got called up. Same thing with Woods. They're very young, but highly touted prospects. So, I'm I think that's the only thing that kind of holds me back. And this goes back into the conversations we've had before where these last couple of years, it feels like the Cubs are trying to compete while also rebuild at the same time. And you can, if things don't work out, and we'll be able to say this in, it's year 4 of the rebuild I was told wasn't a rebuild.
And it's still a rebuild?
I guess, even though they're 2 games above 500, but we're not, there's no playoff appearances to justify being happy about being 2 games above 500, I guess, at this point, especially with the low percentage to make the playoffs at this point as well. We could sit here, maybe not next year, but maybe in 2026, at the end of 2026, and be able to really say which one worked out better, I guess you could say. And we'll see how things play out with some of the Cubs prospects that are coming up that are highly touted. But I think the Nationals, what they did is, whether you agree with it or not, in which I think in hindsight you can definitely say that it was the right decision because they got a haul back for Juan Soto. And a few of those names that we've mentioned were part of that trade, and they tried to extend him. They tried to give him the huge payday, and he said no. Like, I think you can justify that the direction that the Nationals chose is fine. However, they still didn't give Bryce Harper an extension, or at least they couldn't have come to an agreement with him, and they also couldn't have come to an agreement with Juan Soto. So I think you can argue in some ways the direction isn't necessarily the best direction, but maybe considering the circumstances, it was.
Yes, Scott in the live YouTube chat disagrees with me. He says they're not ahead of the Nationals. I'm only going by simply record. One team is a winning percentage of 507 and the other is 455.
Right.
They're ahead of the Nationals this year. That doesn't mean that this offseason that could easily start to flip and go the other way. It doesn't mean that the Cubs have maybe peaked out and like you said, the Nationals have more potential moving forward. I know this, the Nationals, I can't think of a big market team that has either traded or allowed bigger stars to walk away. In a market like that, no team has done it like the Nationals. Like you said,
they even traded Trey Turner too.
Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper.
And Scherzer at that deadline as well.
If those three players left or were traded from the Cubs, we'd all be dead. We all just would have passed out or jumped off the building. It would be over.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But they, at least because it was Soto the trade, they did at least get something back that may help them potentially catapult ahead of the Cubs.
And they did pay Steven Strasburg, who now retired because he can't stay healthy.
Right.
So
they've had some bad luck too.
Yeah. I think that they have definitely they've definitely done the maximum effort, I feel like, in terms of trying to keep some of those star players, especially Juan Soto. They offered him a contract worth over $400 million, and he said no.
Harper's the craziest one to me.
Harper, for sure. It's crazy that they couldn't find a way to keep him. But Juan Soto, I give him a little bit of a break on, not only because they got great value back, and it looks like they're going to be able to build around some of those pieces, but Harper is one that it's like, man.
I don't know how they ever let him leave.
He left you, and he stayed in your division.
Although they did win a World Series.
Without him, yeah.
Without him, which is incredible that both sides have done pretty well. Let's see. The Red Sox have let Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They kept Devers.
They did lock down Devers, yeah.
Yeah. The Braves have let Freddie Freeman go. Pretty impressive.
Got Matt Olson back.
Angels, obviously, Otani. Brewers just let Corbin Burns and Hader go. Astros let Correa go. The point is, big market teams and winning teams can let star players go and still have life afterwards. The Cubs players that left, none of them were at these peak levels of guys that I'm talking about right now.
At the point of when they traded them, no.
When they traded them or let them go, none of the Cubs players from the core were at the level that Mookie Betts was playing at, or the level that Bryce Harper was playing at, or the level that Soto was playing at. Each guy had something that made you think, I don't know if this is the right move. They were offered deals, but they weren't offered deals. And now we see why.
Yeah.
The Cubs really did make right choices with a lot of those players. Obviously, Schwarber's the one that was a mistake, but Rizzo, there was a reason they let him go, right? Bryant, Baez, go through the list. There was a reason for all of them. I just can't believe that the Nationals have let 3 quality players like that go, and we could easily talk about them being a really good team by next year.
It's possible. I mean, they, like Cody said, they got James Wood, Dylan Cruz, CJ Abrams, like a lot of good.
Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore. A lot of good players with a lot of potential for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's the key word is potential. And so, like, I don't disagree with what Luke said. I also don't disagree with the guy that said that you're wrong. Like,
Take that back.
As we've seen, potential is such a big thing. We talk about potential with this Cubs team the last 2 years, and we've been left sitting here with kind of just disappointed in some. You know, the potential we talked about with Morel, the potential we talked about with
Amaya.
Yeah, Amaya. Even though PCA,
Yeah.
you know, some of that potential has shown,
Brendan
but a lot
Davis.
of the potential hasn't showed at the same time. Yeah.
So like I was saying, they have a lot of guys with potential on that team. And so, yeah, it's possible because a lot of guys with like high-end potential too, as we know. But it's never a guarantee until it actually you see it happen at the big league level. So we could easily be seeing the Nationals not take any steps forward at this point in time next year. It's possible for sure, obviously, with like I said, the guys they have and have already promoted, but there's no guarantee. So I guess my main point is like what we're seeing with Miguel Amaya, PCA, some of the guys in the bullpen like Porter Hodge, like taking steps forward, whether your prospects are top 100 or not, like seeing guys at the big league level taking those steps forward, making progress, even if it's incremental throughout a season. That's something that's part of the things that gives you hope for next year. So like I don't pay close attention to the Nationals and how their players are doing, but like if guys like CJ Abrams and James Wood, who's come up, here's a few weeks ago, I think got promoted, and like Dylan Cruz, if you're seeing, even if it's only a month,
DJ
you're
Hurst. seeing,
DJ Hurst, former Cub prospect. Also, they have Ildemaro Vargas, Cub for life, on that team. Anyway,
Cubs legend.
Where were you?
But even if it's like a month at the end of the season to see incremental progress, that's what you, again, on the national side, like that can give you some hope for next season when you're sitting here August 29th and well out of the race. So yeah, and again, from the Cubs' perspective, like if you have seen that with a bunch of guys on this roster, and obviously injuries to like Ben Brown and Jordan Wicks and even Cade Horton have taken away opportunities for more development and more chances to see progress at the big league level, specifically for some of those guys. But you have seen solid progress from guys that you hope can be contributors for you next season, and that's a positive. Even if like I said, the 3% chance now for the
3.7.
3.7. So it's continuing to go up
Fangraphs.
every win. Even with that, and as disappointing as that feels, considering just the unlikelihood they make the playoffs, at least you are seeing these guys who are supposed to supplement your roster making the kind of progress you've needed to see out of them this year.
As for myself being potentially wrong, again, I'll say it's not true because I'm just saying their potential is to pass the Cubs. But right now, if they are to sweep the Cubs, maybe I would change that evaluation. But right now, today, as we're sitting here, the Cubs are ahead of them. Now, I guess you could argue that if you're not one of the 12 teams making the playoffs, you're all in the same boat. But I would say that's not factual because if you look at the White Sox, what have they lost now? 103? 31 and 103. You cannot say that's the same as a Cubs team that's got a 3.7% chance.
Yeah.
That's not the same. We can ask Herb how he feels about it when he comes over here today. I tell you, it's not the same thing. So, anyways, that's the Nationals. They're up next. Hopefully, the Cubs can keep it going. We'll talk about them more in a second. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Rhoback Activewear. You all know by now we wear Rhoback all the time. It's quite simple. Best fit, best feel. The quality of gear just speaks for itself. Their performance polos perform better in the heat than any other polo. They're moisture wicking, so the polo doesn't stick to you. And it's got a nice stretch to it, too. Their everyday shorts are also perfect for the combo for a day on the move, and then they look clean. You can use them for comfort. They got a little elastic waistband. That's always nice.
Oh, yeah.
especially for, guys like me with the expanding waistband.
Or on Thanksgiving.
Or around Thanksgiving. It's a great pair to wear on Thanksgiving or just around the holidays. And with fall right around the corner, what better item to prepare for the season than adding one of their performance hoodies to your closet? They are the softest items we own and just can't take them off, even right now when it's still pretty hot and fall's not quite here. They are designed for comfort. They're built for activity. They're moisture wicking, and they have that breathable fabric that Roback is known for. So right now, use the code CHGO20. Write it down. Go ahead. You're waiting for it? CHGO20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with the code CHGO20. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you have coming up this fall, dare I say, this winter.
Ooh. You know what else you got this winter? Prize Picks.
Bingo.
Football season officially starts today, and I'm excited. All right, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Let me say that again. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. $5 whole dollars, all right? You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, all right? There's going to be, in the month of September, coming up, Caleb Williams passing yard. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on your Prize Picks entry every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends. All right. Tonight, I know it's like the official, to me, it's officially college football. Week 0 was last weekend, but week 1 starts tonight.
Yeah.
And then there's college football Friday. There's college football Saturday from 11 to midnight. Oh my goodness! On top of baseball, this is
Labor
what I
Day
dream
weekend.
Of. Labor Day weekend.
Oh,
it's coming
you even
around.
have Monday off,
right?
We won't be here Monday, by the way.
But Omarion Hampton, rushing yards, 95.5. Give me more. Travis Hunter, more than 75 receiving yards for Colorado, going up against North Dakota State. Boom. I love it. Sign it in. Lock it in. Your entry. Use that $5, $50 bonus. If I am wrong, you're going to get $50 anyway. That's what I love tonight, okay? Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CHGO and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CHGO on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed in Prize Picks. Run your game, brother.
Bro.
Coach Prime will have his team out there.
I
They
really
play
am
North
excited.
Dakota State or South Dakota State?
North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
One of the best
good, right?
FCS programs in the country.
Trey Lance went there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trey Lance did.
Who
9
Seaweed's
FCS
caving in on us
championships.
over here.
I love North Dakota State plus 10 tonight against them, by the way. Go to Circa for that. But yeah.
Okay. Hey, guys, the Cubs offense has provided the power this week, presented by Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. How about 41 runs, 44 hits over 3 games against the Pirates with 5 home runs? Monday, it was Isaac Paredes with his 19th of the season. Then Dansby Swanson with his 11th. Then Tuesday,
Grand Slam, right?
Swanson hits his 12th. Yeah. Seiya Suzuki, his 19th. And then Wednesday, where were you for the Christian Bethancourt game?
Here.
Right here.
Right here.
Watching Cody eat a magic ice cream cone.
Yeah, shout out. Shout out to Cone Gourmet Ice Cream Parlor.
What kind was it again?
Oreo cheesecake.
Ooh, that's always going to win. Cubs now 30-7 when they hit 2+ homers and 57-32 when they hit at least 1 home run in a game. So I ask you, will the offense stay hot against the Nationals?
It's a good question. They got Jake Irvin Friday. He's had a pretty solid season, a 3.80 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. Like someone that I don't think. Well, I would say going into that Pirates series when you saw Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, and Paul Skeens were the three pitchers.
I didn't expect 41 runs.
No.
Would have been hard to expect 20, right?
Like I sort of expected 5.
I did love how the Pirates, that graphic they put out there that said big week ahead or something like that, and it featured like their 3 starting pitchers.
Yeah.
And then Marquee, after they swept yesterday, like I think they used like the same caption.
They
like
flipped it.
Like big week for the Cubs, something like that.
I'm sorry, we interrupted.
Anyway, go ahead.
I would say the Pirates pitching staff on paper, like who you see, because I think so they have Jake Irvin, DJ Hers, who could be a DJ Hers revenge game, and then Mitchell Parker are the 3 that the Cubs will face this weekend against the Nationals. I would say on paper, the names that the Pirates put up there seemed a little more daunting, but they went out and put up 41 runs. Obviously not all against them.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to get to them, able to get to bullpens, and that was the offense you needed to see out of them in that series. When it'll be interesting to see and not even just this series specifically against the Nationals, but like for a guy like Miguel Amaya, who's been on a tear for a while, Crow-Armstrong, who's been on a tear for a while, how do pitchers continue to adjust to those guys? As far as, they get more at-bats against Major League pitching, more data against Major League pitching, so the other side gets it as well. How do the pitchers, opposing teams' pitchers, start to adjust to those guys, and then how do those guys adjust back when that happens? So I wouldn't say that that's like specific to this national series, but I would say that the way the offense has been playing, it would be a shame to see them put up another dud.
But it would also be baseball.
Yeah, it would also be baseball. It would be a shame to see them put up a dud against that team this weekend. At this point, it's just kind of like you're taking it one game at a time, but I think you also need to just continue to win baseball games, sweep series against teams that you could do that against, because you're running out of time, and a team like the Braves isn't letting you gain any ground.
If you swept the Nationals, I wonder what the algorithm would say for Fangraphs for what they're...
Well, it depends on what the Braves do.
What
at the
other
same
teams
time.
are doing, yeah.
Like, it's awesome. You swap the Pirates, whatever. You keep winning series. They've won 4 consecutive series. But they've gained absolutely no ground ever since they got swept by the Guardians. No ground at all.
Yeah.
And, I'm looking at the National schedule. They're coming off winning a series against the Yankees. And I'll say this, if you want any little optimism from me at all, is how many times have we seen the Cubs win a series or sweep a series against a team that you didn't think they would, and then they fall back down to earth the series after?
Yeah.
This Nationals team, they were good for the first half of the year, like for what they were expected to do, like hanging around 500, kind of being competitive or whatever, but they haven't played well in the second half of the season, in my opinion. So I think this is I feel like the Cubs are getting the Nationals at a good time here. They didn't play them in the first half of the year, I don't believe. And again, like I just said, that they were a much more competitive team, better than what their record says right now in the first half of the season. And they've just kind of, faded here because they're very young and they weren't expected to be a competitive team this year. They've taken strides compared to last year for sure, no doubt about that. Not to say that the Cubs can go into the series and not take it seriously, but I do think in terms of the offense, when you see those names, I feel like there is a chance that they could keep it going against this Nationals team.
Yeah. They are playing a lot of teams that have basically given up.
Yeah.
Now, maybe technically you can consider the Cubs as one of those, but Ryan, what did you say yesterday? How many teams have they swept? How many series have the Cubs swept this year?
I think
it's less than 5, right?
I think not including the 2 Sox series, it's 4 right now.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to go from 3.7% chance and try to even get to like 40% chance, you have to sweep a lot of teams the rest of the way. The last 28 games, there have to be a lot of sweeps, and teams like the Nationals are teams that you have to sweep.
Well, yeah, and like mentioning the 3 starting pitchers from the Nationals again, it's a lot of youth. Like Jake Irvin's, this is his second year in the big leagues. Mitchell Parker, he made his debut in April, and obviously we saw when DJ Hers made his debut earlier in the year in June. Solid pitchers, but a lot of youth too. And I don't know. I don't know. It's easy to take advantage of that, obviously, because it's baseball. We know that, but it is also guys still getting their feet wet at the big league level. The Cubs have a lot of veteran bats who are hitting well now. I mean, it could be a good, or it could be a catching them at the right time kind of thing for the Cubs because they are hitting the ball so well lately. And then again, I'll zoom back out to this is a team in the Nationals who are like 17.5 back in their division. They're 12.5 back in the wild card race. Like, they're out of it, and that's not going to stop them from trying to win every game. But this is a team that's worse than the Cubs standings wise.
Yeah,
that they should be able to beat and potentially sweep. On the other side of that, the Braves, who's a team, again, like I mentioned, not letting the Cubs gain any ground. They have 4 against the Phillies coming up, who is one of the best teams in baseball. So this is an opportunity for, if the Cubs can take care of their own business, might actually get some help from a really good Phillies team. So
I'll be shocked if I'll be beyond shocked if the Cubs could catch a team like the Braves.
I would be too. Like,
with the talent that they have.
Well, that team is also incredible. Like, they have a ton of injuries, though. It's the only slimmer of the 3% or whatever that probably gives Fangraphs algorithm some sort of belief in the Cubs.
0.5%.
Right. 3.5%, whatever you said. Like, that's the only thing. On top of the fact that the guys that they do have, like the big names, like Matt Olson has had a down year.
Mm-hmm.
But they still keep winning, and that's why you need to enter a season with a win projection of 90 plus wins, and you can get by with all those injuries. That's why the Cubs, as we've stated, are where they're at this point. But
Chris Sale's been awesome. One of us predicted that, didn't you? Comeback player of the year? I think Cody might have done it. Anyways, I do have a question for you.
I'm going to go look it up.
We got a couple minutes before we got another break. I'm curious. Do you believe in that off day? Today's off day is coming at the worst time. Like, when you have Amaya and PCA, even Swanson, when you have the bottom of the order rolling like it is, and it hasn't all year, do you really want an off day right now?
Well, they've been doing it for more than just.
They're going to have a lot.
I
know, but this feels like you just swept a team. Do you believe in that?
Not necessarily. I don't think momentum. I'm not a huge momentum person in baseball because baseball is so nuts. Is so dumb of a game. But even if momentum exists, I don't think taking a day off derails any of that. I think you're still confident, and not only are you confident in the way you've been playing lately, you get a day to rest and recharge, and just if you want to stay away from the field, you can. You just rest, recharge, but you still have that confidence because you're coming off a really good stretch. I don't necessarily buy into that. I think guys, the teams like having off days, especially this late in the year, right? Like, Craig Counsell had to use some of his high leverage guys yesterday, and even I think Tyson Miller came in was a 10-5 game, was not even close to a high leverage situation. Had to use a lot of his back end guys. I think some of the reports coming from there is he just didn't have a lot of guys available. Jorge Lopez may have an issue with his groin that they're got to monitor for the weekend. So he had to use some of his high leverage guys in a game where until the end wasn't a high leverage game.
Right.
Give them an off day, right? Like, you're giving them an off day to rest, recharge, and get back on track. So, especially this late in the year, you're traveling around the country. Like, players, coaches, teams, they all like having these days, even when they're in the middle of that stretch.
Me and Luke both said Chris Sale, comeback player of the year.
Credit to us. We are always right. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
What did I say?
Coming up
you
on
put Edwin Diaz.
All right.
Oh, man.
Okay. Well, see what
I
say I'm right all the time. Hate
it.
to say I'm right all the time, but it's just the facts.
He gave a grand slam to blow a save yesterday.
We're going to throw more facts at you next. We're going to talk about the top 5 players in baseball. Who are your top 5 right now in Major League Baseball? And then who would be after that? We definitely have some different answers. But first, want to tell you, you don't want to miss out on this. Shop Ray Chevrolet and secure the right new Chevy and price for you. That's because their new car clearance event is going on. 3 days left in August, and you can shop their huge selection of Chevy models right now with new low prices. Visit our partner this month, couple days left, at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you're always able to shop one of the Chicago area's largest Chevy inventories. Right now, get 0% financing. Make 0 payments until 2025. Put $0 down and find 0 hidden fees on all new Chevrolet models, or cruise into fall your own way and shop over 125 vehicles they have priced under $20,000. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise. Their guarantee to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices you're hearing about on the CHGO Cubs podcast right now, you can expect to see the very same prices when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. So shop the new car clearance event all month long, a couple days left, by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
I got to tell you about GameTime Picks, Luke, because we got a month left in baseball season, a little over a month left in baseball season. You got a little bit of time left in outdoor concert season, but also, football season's coming up. A lot of other seasons are coming up here, and you want to get your tickets to those games with GameTime. GameTime has a new feature, actually, called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I actually wish I went to my first and only Bears game a couple years ago. It was that Texans game, the walk-off field goal, and I wish I'd had GameTime Picks to do it, just to filter out some of the fluff and get it down to the tickets that were the best deals. I'm looking at it right now. You go on GameTime for Labor Day. If you need Labor Day plans, Sunday or Monday night game against the Pirates for the Cubs. You click that GameTime Picks feature right here, and instead of having seats all around the ballpark, it filters it down to the best deals. I see deals as low as $28 for Cubs tickets for that game against the Pirates. So
they could have a 25% chance by then.
It could have a 25%.
I don't know how the algorithm works.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Don't let the math get in the way.
But yeah, one of my favorite app features is the all-in pricing. Actually, sometimes you go on other ticketing sites and they have maybe some hidden fees later on. With GameTime's all-in pricing, you toggle that feature. It shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Some other things I really like about GameTime, with GameTime Picks, you get the priority curation, makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. It's give you that seat views. So if you go to Wrigley Field for the first time, you're going to Soldier Field for the first time, you just want to kind of see where your seat, what your view is going to be at your seat. Gives you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you actually buy. GameTime offers the lowest price guarantee, or GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem that code CHGO for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time. I would like to see a game at Northwestern's temporary stadium. You seen that thing right on the lake?
I've heard about it. I haven't actually seen it.
It's literally on the shoreline.
It's very small, though, so they're charging way too much money to go watch them.
But if I can find a way to get in there and sit and watch a game where literally the stands are overlooking Lake Michigan, it's not high enough to not see the lake. You've got to see the lake from everywhere.
Yeah. They play the Harvard of the Midwest this year, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Valpo?
No, that's the Harvard of
Missouri.
Harvard of Duke or whatever.
That's
the Duke of the Harvard.
That's the Duke of the Midwest.
Duke of the Midwest. Is that what you said? Yeah. I'm reading this. I'm looking at our predictions as we were doing the ads, and I just want to point out. And I'm not trying to bring it all up, but I would love to point out the one thing that made me laugh the most is that we were all wrong about anyone in the NL MVP race, the NL Cy Young race, and Manager of the Year, where every single one of us put an NL Manager of the Year, Craig Counsell, except for Luke, who put Torey Lovello, who I guess still might be able to.
Wait a minute. Possibility.
But I doubt he's going to win it back-to-back years. Anyway.
So what you're saying is we don't know what we're talking about. But
yes.
Hey, keep watching the podcast.
We are a bunch of idiots.
self-proclaimed idiots.
Yes.
Oh man.
I was gonna say another word, but I don't want to offend anybody.
That's okay. Anyway,
Yeah, we were
wrong about a lot of things
a
on here.
lot.
But me and you were right about Chris Sale having a comeback season, though.
We didn't pick. None of us picked the the Cubs most likely to represent the Cubs at the All-Star game. None of us were.
None of us were right.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of us had Steele. You, Brennan, and Corey had Steele. I had Dansby, and Cody had Bellinger.
Yeah. The word I was thinking of is another word for a donkey.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't say that, though.
No, I don't want to say it. I don't want to offend anybody. All right, here we go. Top 5 players in baseball. Godfather Michael Collada wants us to do top 5 owners in the league. He says Ricketts is just ahead of Reinsdorf. I assume he means at the bottom of the list.
Would we put Fisher at the below Reinsdorf
Ooh.
for the A's? I feel like I would feel like he's lower than Reinsdorf.
That's tough.
Or maybe Reinsdorf is just below, but at least guaranteed rate field is a nice place to go to.
Oh, but it's no good. They need a new ball. They might go to a new ballpark.
According to Jerry, but
Get that new stadium.
I think you can make arguments that the White Sox could be lower than the A's, but the A's have just the fact that they're going to go play in a AAA ballpark legitimately next year, it's bad.
Top 5 players in Major League Baseball right now. We each came up with a list. Now, clearly, Christian Bethancourt is somewhere in the top 5, but where did you slot him? You know, that's what we want. Where is Bethancourt?
Right there in the middle.
Since it's right now, we're talking about right now, Bethancourt.
Yeah, right in front of
At this
Miguel
very
Amaya.
moment, Amaya Bethancourt are right there.
With PCA round in third.
Probably Judge somewhere after them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dansby Swanson is Grand Slam. You know, who else are you going to throw on that list? All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go last.
Want to start off?
All right, I'll go first. Sarah, you got mine lined up? I say I have a couple different ways of looking at this. First of all, if you ask me who do I want on my team, Shohei is my guy.
Yeah.
That is my guy. 40-40, he does everything, and he'll be able to pitch next year. And I know I'm saying right now, if I had to take one guy to place on my baseball team for the next 15 years, it would be that guy. That doesn't mean what Aaron Judge is doing isn't unbelievable.
Yeah.
Isn't unbelievable. And it doesn't mean that Bobby Witt, who's younger than those guys, isn't spectacular. But for me, the first 4 spots are fairly obvious. Maybe not in that order. You may disagree with the order. I believe Otani is not only the best player in baseball, I believe he's the greatest baseball player we've ever seen. Yeah. And now we may see how that plays out the next 5 or 6 years, but I believe when it's said and done, we'll look at it and say Otani's the best baseball player we've seen. So for me, Otani is 1, even though he can't pitch right now. What were the numbers on? We were looking at his F-WAR before the show, Cody, and we were like, how is he that high up? And literally all he's doing is hitting right now.
6.4 Fangraphs WAR.
Yeah.
6.4, and all he's doing is coming to the plate. Mm-hmm. They're not even including vibes. They're not even looking at vibes, and he's up there. So for me, it's Otani.
And
then
his
it's
dog
Judge.
had that first pitch.
Yeah.
Dog yesterday.
Right. Mookie.
Remember when we all thought his dog name was Wrigley? Yeah.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Anyway.
Anyways, I shifted Soto down to 4 because what Bobby Witt is doing, batting .346. Bobby Witt leads Major League Baseball in batting average, hits, and runs. And he's not on a great team. But he leads
team, probably a playoff team.
He's on a good team, but mostly because he's on the team. He's number 1 in baseball in 3 things. Judge has 51 homers, and the next best guy is 9 behind him. 9 behind him. He leads the majors in home runs and RBIs. And, of course, Otani's number 2 in home runs with 42. I have Soto at 4, and then I will say, just based on gut feel, not looking at the numbers because I know he's been banged up, do you remember what the kind of stuff that people have been asking Mookie Betts to do? He is still a spectacular player. It's like, play second, play short, play right. And he's just like, yes, yes, yes.
Doing what Chris Bryant had to do at the end of his Cubs tenure. Right,
but he's doing it at an elite level when he goes to each position.
Specifically like that, but we saw Chris Bryant. I don't know if it was directly contributed to his struggles, but I don't think it helped.
Yeah,
towards the end of his Cubs career, he was moving everywhere.
the fourth or fifth spot, the fifth spot specifically, excuse me, the fifth spot is really hard for me because I don't know how I can have a top 5 without Acuna in it. I know he's not super healthy, but it's really tough to not put Ronald Acuna on the list.
Towards ACL, didn't he?
But if I'm starting it right now, if I'm saying who are the best 5 guys, they're not playing today. He's not playing today. But who are the best 5 baseball players? It's really hard not to say Acuna. But, man, I'll go Betts for right now. Now. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't want Ronald Acuna. If I had 5 draft choices right now, I think Acuna would be one of those 5 for sure.
No, I mean, that's definitely – I think the top 4 are however you want to rank them I think we all have kind of a consensus on just who are in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
That 5th spot, there's so many guys who could realistically take that and have an argument to be in that top 5. So I don't have a problem with Mookie Betts as your 5th. I took a little bit different direction for mine. I went our top 4 is exactly the same. Shohei Otani, I kind of looked at it
top 4
similar to you as obviously they have to be really good right now, but also I put a lot of weight in who do I want moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Shohei Otani, considering the fact that expected to make a full recovery as far as pitching goes, and we saw how good he was as a pitcher. Just has to have that. Probably the best player, like you said, that we've ever seen, especially in our lifetimes, as far as what he can do on both sides of the ball and be elite on both sides of the ball.
Without steroids.
It's nothing we've ever seen before. Don't know if we'll ever see it again. He's number 1 for me. Then I had Judge, just obviously because of the way he's hitting, and he's not a DH, obviously. He plays defense as well. Plays good defense. And he's 225 WRC plus heading into today. 125% better than league average. He is dwarfing Juan Soto at 185 or 184, whatever Soto's is. He's dwarfing of that. He's hitting the ball so well. You never see seasons like this, even out of the greatest hitters of all time, right? So, again, obviously greatness right now. I would love to have him on my team moving forward. So he's number 2 for me. Bobby Witt, young, plays great defense at maybe the most premium position on the field. Also hits the hell out of the ball right behind Judge, and he's probably going to finish right behind him in MVP voting. But as far as F4 goes, he's very, very close. He's nipping at Judge's heels. Great player, 23 years old, I believe, and great right now, and absolutely would build my team around him. Juan Soto right behind him at number 4. Same way, just 25 years old. I think the Cubs should pay up and go get him in the offseason. Don't think they will, but whichever team does get him, whether it's the Yankees, the Mets, or some other surprise suitor, you're getting a guy who's arguably one of the best hitters we've ever seen, and he's only 25 years old. And he's probably only going to get better for the next few years. But then my number 5 is where I switched it up. Gunnar Henderson is 5th for me. As far as F4 goes, he's 5th in baseball right now. Actually ahead of Shohei Otani. Gunnar Henderson is 6.7 F4. He's also, 23 years old, right? I think, 23 years old. Also plays a premium position right there at shortstop. He's a really, really good player. And again, I put a lot of weight in who I want on my team moving forward. At that young of an age to be doing what he's doing, 155 WRC plus, obviously on offense with an overall 6.7 F4. He's going to be one of the best players in this league for a long time. Would love to have that guy on my team. So, like I said, I had no problem with Mookie Betts for your pick, but for me, Gunnar Henderson is that fills out that top 5.
I was thinking before we get to Cody's list that, you know how we look back now and say, man, Bryce Harper's deal is a steal. But at the time, it was well, that's a lot of money, But that's just the way life is. I think you're going to look at, and maybe you do already, you look at Aaron Judge and you may say, what a bargain the Yankees got. What a bargain. And so I hope the Cubs don't make that same mistake now with Soto on the market. Because it will seem like a ton of money, but 5 years later you look at it and be like, that was affordable.
Yeah. That's called delusion, brother. Just letting you know.
Get at the water bottle.
I'm gonna get the water bottle for you. All right. Okay, so before Sarah shows this, I just want to preface that mine legitimately is top 5 players right now, as we sit here today. So just in 2024.
So they can't be hurt.
Can't be hurt. All right. And I see Eye of Ghost. I saw your comments related to Otani. So go ahead, Sarah. Let's show it to the people. All right. So we'll start from the bottom up. You guys did 1 through 5?
Yeah, however you want to do it.
5.
It's your list.
Well, I'll do what you guys did. All right. So I went with Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Shohei Otani, Juan Soto, and then Gunnar Henderson as my 5th. All right. Aaron Judge is, I knew he was having another historical season, but I mean, this guy is flirting with another 60 home run season. If he doesn't break the 63 home run record that he made 2 years ago, he is at least going to flirt with 60 homers again this year. Without steroids, however, if he did use steroids, he'd probably already surpass it because steroids are awesome. Okay? 225 WRC plus, slugging 731, has a 1.198 OPS. All right? He is the best player in baseball this year. There's just no way you can tell me that he's not the best player in baseball this year. All right? He has the highest F4 of any player in baseball at 9.8 F4 this year with a month to go. He's been the best player in baseball this year. Bobby Witt Jr., number 2, 9.5 F4 in baseball this year. And he plays a premium position at shortstop. And he also has a OPS over 1,000 this year, slugging 590. Again, at a premium position at shortstop, he is carrying a small market team to the playoffs, in my opinion. They have decent pitching. They have a really good bullpen. But when you look at offense, that team goes as Bobby Witt Jr. goes. All right. He doesn't have Juan Soto behind him or ahead of him like Aaron Judge does. That's not to take anything away from Aaron Judge. I just said he's the best player in baseball this year.
Oh, you just hurt your own
but Bobby Witt Jr. is legitimately carrying the Royals, in my opinion. Okay. Then I went Shohei Otani, and I would agree with you guys. If Otani was pitching this year, I would put him number 1.
So you put more weight in what they're this year,
yes,
right now.
This year.
I think that is the only argument for Judge number 1.
The fact
you want to factor in,
It's just if you put more weight
he's
right
not
now
pitching.
versus what you want.
Yeah,
moving
The fact
forward.
that
I'd go with that.
the fact that Otani is almost a 7-WAR player, just being a DH, is mind blowing to me. I think he's right up there with Aaron Judge in terms of offense and all of that. I mean, his batting average is lower, his on base percentage is lower, his slugging percentage is lower, his OPS is lower, his WRC plus is lower, but it's not like it's so far away or anything. That's just how good of a season Aaron Judge is having. Okay, so I still put Otani top 3. To me, if we have to look at it right now and just look at it as in terms of
this season
and the offense, I can't put Otani above Judge. He just simply hasn't been better than Judge offensively, and that's the only way I can put. On top of the fact that Judge plays center field. Okay, so that's why I went with Otani at 3, and the fact that Bobby Witt Jr. plays a premium position at shortstop. That's why I put him ahead, on top of the fact that his numbers also ahead of Otani in terms of OPS. Their slugging percentage is almost the same. Bobby Witt has a higher on-base and a higher batting average. He has a higher WRC plus as well and a higher weighted on-base average as well. So those two, stats-wise, ahead of Shohei Otani this year. Then I went with Juan Soto at number 4. You can make the argument for Soto to be ahead of Otani on this just because of being able to play defense, but at the same time, I mean, he's number 2 in WRC plus this year.
Tied for 4th in homers, tied for 5th in RBI.
Yeah.
He has the second. He has the second highest weighted on base average this year. His OPS is in the top 3, just behind Bobby Witt Jr. But it's Bobby Witt Jr.'s is 1.017. Juan Soto's is 1.012. Like, what's the difference? But he has a lower slugging percentage than Bobby Witt Jr., but he has a higher on base percentage than Bobby Witt Jr. So yeah, I mean, it's very hard. It was when I made the list, I was like, I can't believe I'm putting Bobby Witt Jr. ahead of Juan Soto and Shohei Otani. But that's how great of a season Bobby Witt Jr. is having, and on top of the fact that he plays the premium position defensively, and he plays it well too. All right.
Yeah. And
that's why going into the last spot at number 5 with Gunnar Henderson, at some point we'll probably be having I'll be making the same type of argument about Gunnar Henderson down the road, because he's having an insane season as well with the Orioles. All right. He is, I think Ryan said, number 5 in Fangraphs WAR, 6.7, slugging 538, on base percentage of 366, hitting 280. And again, plays a premium position. I understand what you said about Mookie Betts. He's been hurt this year. Gunnar Henderson has been healthy. He has played, and he is the best player he is the best player on the best team in the American League, in my opinion. I think the Orioles are the best team in the American League. So that's my 5.
Yeah, I think because even with the point of talking about just this season, and this is going to the Bobby Witt Juan Soto debate, because I don't remember who it was in the chat, but saying that Soto should be above Bobby Witt, and I don't even necessarily completely disagree with that. Not even completely. I can see that argument as well. But even if you're going just based off this year, Bobby Witt is having a better season than Juan Soto is, and also playing very, very good defense at shortstop, at the premium position on the field. I think whether our view is long term. This season obviously counts, but who do I also want around long term? Bobby Witt is what I just had him slightly above Juan Soto. But even just this season, if you're putting more weight in just this season, like Cody is, Bobby Witt is having a better season than Juan Soto.
Again, if Ronald Acuna was healthy, he'd probably be in my top 5, but he's not. He tore his ACL. How's he going to come back coming off the ACL? He's torn his ACL twice now, right?
Acuna would have made everybody's list.
Sure, if he was healthy.
So who else did we leave off the list? We got 5 minutes left. Obviously, Acuna is the big name. Freddie Freeman, Yordan Alvarez. Ron said your guy, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
some people are mad that we don't have Jose Ramirez on the list. So
well,
another really good player.
I can make a list.
He's a great player, yeah.
He is a great player.
Is he a top 5 player in baseball?
He is definitely a top 10 player in my eyes.
Yes.
I mean,
he's definitely a top 10. The top
Francisco
10.
Lindor top 10?
What about Bryce Harper?
Because I said Lindor because I don't know if we think about him as a top 10 player, but he's as far as
in recent years we haven't, but he's having an insane.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying back
in
right
recent
now.
Years,
yeah.
I don't know if we just consider him top 10, but when you look at his numbers this year, he is having. Just look at F4, the 6th best season in baseball.
Yeah.
Also at a premium position defensively. Is he top 10? I considered him for top 5 as far as just this year goes.
We all have 4 of the same 5 in the top 5. You have to pick one that you want desperately on the Cubs. Who's the player you pick?
Are we starting over on the Cubs or
next year? You got one of those guys is on the Cubs next year. I'm not saying it's realistic. Obviously, Otani's not going anywhere. Judge isn't going anywhere. Soto's the only guy you have a chance at. So I guess I would argue Soto because he's the only one that there's a potential for. But in reality, if I had to pick one player, it would be Otani or Judge, and I would say Otani.
It's got to be Otani.
Next year, Otani will pitch.
Yeah.
And he will go and he will go back to reminding us just how incredible he is.
Yes.
Being able to do what he does with his arm while also, I didn't say this about Otani, but he's flirting with a 50-50 season. Okay. He just became a 40-40 player. He's got 42 homers now. You can't tell me in the next month he can't steal 10 more bases on top of hit
he's got
8
42, 42, so it's 8 and 8, right?
He could easily be a 50-50 player this year. Imagine if he was being a 50-50 player while also pitching. He's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm still bitter about the Cubs not signing him, even though they had never had a chance.
Yeah.
Justin, you keep believing. That's fine. I hope it happens. I hope the Cubs get back in it. Find some magical run in them. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. It's just I've also seen the Cubs team that has been very, very inconsistent for a huge sample size. So I just don't believe that outrageously hot run you're talking about and bad play from another team is going to happen. But we'll see.
Justin got reeled back in because I swear he had he left a comment in a recent show saying that the season was over because he told me the season was over.
No pitchers in our top 5. I don't know if I have a pitcher in my top 10 because I like everyday players. So what we'll do is sometime, maybe it's next week, maybe it's in the offseason, we'll do one for the pitchers too. Because I don't think it's fair to compare pitchers. And I know you have to do that when you're going through a draft. Mm-hmm. You have to pick what's more valuable to you, the really good hitter or the really good pitcher. There's certainly value in a great starting pitcher. My thing is they get hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to lose a pitcher for multiple years because of an injury. Now, you can have the Acuna thing happen too, but it's way more likely that a pitcher with these guys throwing 98, 99, 100, it's just become almost expected that at some point one of them's going to get hurt.
Last thing on top 5.
Yeah.
Early in the show, I don't know if he's still here. I think his account on YouTube was Chicago Dude 88. He asked, because Luke was teasing that we were going to give our top 5 players in baseball. He asked, is there a Cub in the top 50? And if you go by Fangraphs War, there are 3 Cubs in the top 50. Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, and Seiya Suzuki.
MLB Network ranked the top 100 players before the season started. Bellinger was 51.
Yeah.
He was the highest one they had going into the season.
Yeah.
When's the last time the Cubs had somebody asked when's the last time they had somebody in the top 5? I would say Chris Bryant MVP.
Yeah.
That's the last time they had a top 5 player in baseball.
Sure.
But we'll see.
It's been a while.
All right.
So I will also say that those 3 being in the top 50 based off Fangraphs War kind of shows the flaws in WAR, as some people don't want to take that put as much grain into that. So I don't put WAR into everything, but when you're talking about the best players in baseball like we just did, I think WAR shows how much value those guys have.
Yeah, it's better than just picking only batting average or only home runs.
No, yeah, WAR isn't the be-all, end-all stat.
But it's pretty good.
I just want to put that out there because some people who are probably don't like the nerd stuff, and I'm not a big nerd guy, but let's just be real.
I'm a big nerd. Hey, we're not here tomorrow. Corey and Brendan will be back with a podcast Sunday to wrap up the National Series. We are off on Monday because of Labor Day, so we will see you on Tuesday. Until then, thanks for watching and checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. And as always, remember, fly the W.
Go Tigers.
We all silly like the mayor.